Hi everyone. Today, girls will tell us what you didn't know about men until you met them. And so, let's begin. Morning wood. Had absolutely no idea that shit just pops up every night till I started dating my first boyfriend. NRBs, no reason boners. Like, it just happens. For no reason wild. Bad when they need to go to the store they just go straight to that item and then pay and leave. It's something I need to learn. And I want you to just like and subscribe to the channel without hesitation, just do it. They keep a significant amount of thoughts to themselves edit holy moly. I just woke up and I cannot even get through all these when I actually get up for the day I'm going to though. Seems the general consensus is it's saving something not telling their thoughts or men are conditioned to keep it in. This is so upsetting. Let me say to anyone keeping quiet in your relationship I promise you the right person wants to know how you feel. Emotions are hard enough. You shouldn't have to go through them alone. That whole thing about the weight of their heart being their stomach. Accurate. I once hooked up with a guy I met on Tinder, made him breakfast the next morning. He said no woman had ever cooked for him before, looked teary, and now we're married. How rarely they get complimented. I told my guy that I loved his shirt and he didn't even know what to say. He told me he couldn't remember the last time someone complimented him, so I've started looking for little random things to compliment him on. But the ballsack physically moves around and you can see when it gets looser or tightens. It's super fascinating to look at, you can also feel it. And the man can't control it. My ex-wife was shocked at how short a phone conversation can be for dudes. My best friend called me once, this man literally flew across the country once to be at our wedding, called me because he was bringing me to work the next day. Still need a ride. Yep, okay, I'll be there at 5:30 sounds good, and that was it. She sat there astonished and was asking why didn't we want to talk to each other. I really had no good answers either, it's just the way she goes I guess. How different a didn can look soft versus erect. And how much it can shrink in the cold. Our balls can literally retract if it's cold enough. One time as a younger man I thought I lost them. That balls don't typically hang at the same level, one is a little lower than the other. All those sausages doodles have lied to me. Yes. I had to explain this to my wife, then I also had to explain to her that very few women have two breasts the same size. She had always been self-conscious about it. Most of them are way into cuddling and having their heads rubbed. Scratch my back with longish fingernails and I am in heaven. My husband can't sleep anymore without me giving him soft scratches all over his back and bum as we fall asleep. Sometimes this means I keep myself awake until he falls asleep, but hearing those gentle snores is worth it. How much trauma they tend to accept as simple facts of life. Definitely made me more invested in my brothers. If my husband has experienced X, Y, and Z and has thought nothing should be done or even said about it, how many experiences like that have the other men in my life had? I've had that before, don't know that anyone told me to supper stuff, but once the obvious steps have been taken, traumatic stuff just gets compartmentalized. I was molested as a very young child and after berating some folks at the camp where it happened, it just wasn't something we talked about because what was to say. Most of my family had a similar experience in some other context during their lives. I thought it was a regrettable but not uncommon thing. Didn't cross my mind that this is a big deal till I was in my 20s. How rarely men are given compliments about their appearance and how even something as simple as "oh you look handsome today" or a colleague saying "I like your tie" can make a man's entire day. I had a boyfriend who was positively beaming when he came home and told me how one of his colleagues complimented his shirt and tie, which he rarely wore, and he went on to step up his work attire because someone finally noticed. He told me no one had ever said that to him outside of his mother, and I realized how little men are complimented on dressing well or looking put together. It made me so sad because women are always hyping each other up, but men don't seem to do that. It doesn't mean men don't want or need compliments, everyone does, but they seem to so rarely get them. When they ask you to leave them alone, they absolutely mean it. They don't mean, leave me alone for 5 minutes and then start trying to comfort me or overanalyze the situation or get me to talk it out. I had to learn that the hard way. That they can literally beat the life out of and slap around their dong, but one tap of the balls and they're on the ground. One of my friends gave another friend a love tap on the balls and he threw up. I've been kicked in the clit with the pointy part of a shoe and it really hurt. I was at school and wearing basketball shorts, so I got to feel the whole impact, but this dude straight up changed colors in the face and repeatedly heaved even after the initial vomiting. It seems like it probably hurts a lot. I'm glad I don't have balls. And for clarification, I've discovered that a love tap generally seems to mean punching someone in the balls, as far as my male friends are concerned. There's nothing lovey or tappy about it. I genuinely thought men held their pee when they peed because otherwise it would fly all around with the force of urine going through it. This made me for real laugh out loud. Especially imagining a scenario like at a baseball game where all the dudes are lined up at the trough urinal and then all of a sudden one of them loses his grip and it's just pandemonium. Ha. That's amazing. How much some love to hold hands or be physical with hugs and such. Grew up in a bad environment and many of the male figures in my life were always cold or distant or flat out abusive. Trying to figure out a way to handle it as my body nervous system isn't used to that at all. How strong men really are. First boyfriend threw me over his shoulder like I'm a sack of potatoes. Testosterone is a hell of a drug. How itchy their balls can be sometimes. And being quiet doesn't mean they're mad or thinking about someone else, they're just vibing. What are you thinking? I'm trying to figure out how many iron smelters I need to make an optimal barrel factory. This is too painfully true. My ex once saw me very visibly deep in thought staring at the ceiling in bed while cuddling. She asked what I was thinking about and apparently Amish barn construction is not the correct answer in these situations. How often they need to readjust their balls. How easy they can be to please. A plate of food without being asked or a compliment show of admiration in front of other people goes quite a long way. Just how long they're willing to put off going to a doctor specialist. The mental gymnastics done to avoid seeking professional help is astounding. I'll give it 2 more days and if it isn't gone by then or at the least slightly less painful I might consider to maybe start thinking about possibly seeing a doctor. Maybe. How they can spend an entire day with a person and not learn a single thing about them. I've known people for years without ever knowing their name. It's kinda strange, cause at a certain point you really ought to know and you're pretty sure the other guy doesn't know your name either, so you just kinda work with it cause both parties are too embarrassed to just ask. Back in high school, I used to go to chess club every week and there was this guy I played against every single time. For 3 months, we just showed up and played against each other until one day I just said hey what's your name? That was fun. If there is a poop stain in the toilet, they will try to aim their pee to hit it. It's really disappointing if we can't fully remove it with a full bladder. When you got that Austin Powers out of cryo level bladder and still can't power wash it. Feels Bidman. Do not talk to a man while he's playing video games if your hope is for him to respond thoughtfully. I feel like this isn't a man-only thing. Like, if you are concentrating on something would you be able to give thoughtful responses to someone talking to you? That their balls move on their own weirdest thing ever. Yup, can confirm, it's a slow squirming action down there. Sometimes more activity than at other times. They love to hear the tea, but make no effort to ask any questions or get any information to share tea-lol. Example. Him. Oh yeah, Mark broke up with Jessica. Me. Why, what happened? Him. IDK, I didn't ask. Bad guys can make their dick move without touching it. The first time I saw my ex do this I was really surprised. I can make mine fetch the newspaper. I would be impressed if it made breakfast. One ball hangs lower than the other, when they cough their die flexes, so if coughing naked repeatedly their die will flap up and down. I laughed so hard the first time I witnessed this, their feelings and emotions about things work way differently than women, they love head scratches, and when you do nice things for them to show they are loved. You make me sound like a dog. I'm actually okay with that. They love compliments and will hold on to them for years. I noticed this with my husband a while back. Whenever I tell him that something he wears makes him look nice, he'll wear it as often as possible. If he tries something on while shopping that I think looks good on him, he'll buy it and put it on as soon as we get home. I love that guy. The last compliment I received was from my friend's 13-year-old daughter about 4 years ago. She said, "You look really cool in that shirt." Not that the shirt was cool. I was cool in it. It's my first shirt to wear after laundry day. I'm always in a better mood with that shirt on. I will never forget the compliment. 8 to 9 years ago, walking through a parking lot on the way into work, a woman, also walking in, says to me, "You have a nice walking pace." It's very consistent. Maybe just because it's an odd thing to compliment that it stayed in my head. But it's the best compliment I can remember since then, and I've been married 5 years. To someone completely different. They can shape-shift their balls into a bowl shape and collect water from the shower in them for fun. Just how much they like peeing outside. It's our God-given right. There's just something about peeing with the open sky above you. It's how I imagine dogs feel when they howl in the night. How much smell is a part of attraction. Like I just thought I was attracted to him because he's funny and smart. Turns out I also like his smell a lot and the guys I've dated afterward has to pass the smell good test to date. Who knew? They like to be little spoon. Oh, this video has come to an end. If you want more such cool stories, then go to one of the many following videos.